Good afternoon, Sava here from Sava Talk Spurs. The morning or afternoon after the evening before. So it was our third Champions League group game, and it was against Frankfurt, a team that started the season really poorly, have really picked up in recent weeks, 3 points off the top of the Bundesliga. And we managed to go there and get a very entertaining 0-0 draw. Let's talk about it. Let's have a look at it. So the group, how had the group gone before that? The group was blown wide open, really. Most people thought that Sporting Lisbon would beat Marseille. Sporting Lisbon took the lead in the first minute and then had a goalkeeper sent off and went and lost the game 4-1. So that left the group wide open, and it stopped Sporting getting 9 points out of 9, which meant that it was there for the taking for Frankfurt and for Tottenham to both put a good number on the board. When we look at what we've done in previous games, we'd beaten Marseille, not a great performance, but beat them 2-0 against 10 men. We were poor against Lisbon. So this was really an important game to make sure at least that we didn't lose. I predicted that we would draw or narrowly lose. Happy that we got the draw in the end. Some could say that we deserved it. We had some chances, albeit I believe, and depending on which report you look at and which site you look at, some sites are showing that we had 0 shots on target. Other sites are showing we had 1. Some are showing 2. A better performance. I wasn't completely enamored, but it was better. I was disappointed with Frankfurt. They didn't really come out and press at us. They let us have the ball, which is rare because most of the time in the Premier League, teams don't allow us to have that. So it was good that we had a slightly more possession than we normally have. We had some good chances. The difficulty for me, I just find, is the passing is so bad. Our passing, our final ball, our lack of creativity, it was a really tough watch. Again, I'm not saying it was the worst performance in the world, but the whole we're going to bounce back, we've got to show what we're about after the Arsenal win, I don't really feel that we did. First half, I feel there was a 10-15 minute spell where they had us pinned in and we were defending on the edge of our boxes, and we defended well. Lots of shots coming in, lots of corners coming in from them, but we rode that storm and then started to get a foothold. As the end of the first half went on, we should have scored. We really should have, but we didn't. And then the second half, I said it on my live stream yesterday. Second half to me yesterday was awful from both teams in terms of you have the ball, we'll have the ball, you have the ball. I've never seen two teams give the ball away as much as what I saw yesterday. It's a real concern for me. The passing, the lack of ability to pass a ball from most of our players. Normally you would say it was 1 or 2, but Son, Kane, Richarlison, all of them, their passing was woeful yet again. It was woeful against Arsenal. It was woeful again last night. These are players that people tell me are world-class. World-class players don't pass the ball like that. So it's really difficult for me at the moment to see how this changes. For me, I don't think the dynamic of Richarlison playing on either the right or the left works. Just for me, I think he is an out-and-out centre-forward. Everyone said that the reason he was bought was because he could play anywhere across the front line, but I don't think he looks very comfortable there. He doesn't look to be a very good team player there. His decision-making looks poor, as opposed to when you see him play for Brazil and he's the number 9. So his decision-making is like that. It's instant. It's where to shoot. Do I know where the goal is? He won't get that chance at Tottenham because Kane will play every game. I think we're going to see maybe he might be rested for lower opposition in the cups, but something's not right with that balance. And I think it really does show how much we miss Kulusevski, who I think brings another dynamic. I think what he's got that the others, he's got that wonderful close control, that ability to hold onto the ball, carry us up the pitch whilst not losing possession. Whereas I think when I look at Richarlison and Son, they carry the ball up pitch but lose possession a lot. And Kane has been dropping deep and losing possession a lot. So I agree. I saw Iggy on Tottenham Away today say, look, if you're going to have a go at one of them, have a go at all of them. And I agree with him. what we tend to do is people have their favourites, right? You know, there's that Heung-min Son fan club that feels like they support him more than Spurs. And then you get the Harry Kane fan club. For me, all three have been really disappointing lately. Very, very disappointing. The silver lining for me is that we know what Kane and Son can do, and we need them to start firing. Kane's got some goals this year, but his all-round game hasn't looked good. And Heung-min Son's been very poor for me, apart from the hat-trick, which, again, it's great doing that hat-trick, but then the next couple of games afterwards, he's not kicked on from that. Kane hasn't scored from open play for a while. When we look at the last 4 games for Tottenham, we've only scored in one of those games from open play. So clearly something is not clicking. Something is not right. Now, as with anything in football, you can either play through that and that changes by itself, or you change it up and that can change things. I think it's going to be more a case of we play through that, because I can't see Conte doing anything different. Look, as much as I've been a critique of Conte's football, I've not said I want him sacked. I just want to make that very, very clear. Do I think the football could be better? Absolutely, I do. Do I feel sorry for the man? I do and I don't. I do feel sorry for him because, like every other manager under the Daniel Levy-ENIC tenure, he was not backed. Where I don't feel sorry for him is he's come out and said he's happy. You know, he's come out and said everything's great, we're working towards this. But I think lots of Spurs fans at the moment are seeing, and I think a lot of Spurs fans are attracting about this great window. When you actually look at it, look at the bench we had last night. We had 12 players on that bench. And if we take away the 2 goalkeepers, we had 9 defenders or defensive midfielders and Brian Hill. Now, yes, Kulusevski's injured, but every club should have 3, 4, 5 attacking options right on the bench. I'm not saying they all have to be forwards, but progressive midfielders, wingers, attacking midfielders, strikers. And we just simply didn't buy it. Then I asked the question, everyone told me Conte turned down Eriksen. He turned down James Maddison. If he did, that again makes me not feel sorry for him, because these are the type of players that get on the ball and would take some of the pressure off of our midfield, that allow us to have a bit more possession. So I do feel sorry for him because he's working with Daniel Levy, but I don't because he's on 20 million a year and should be doing better. But that's a debate for another day. All in all, a point I think was probably a fair result. I think we could have snatched it. I think they could have snatched it. It won't go down as a Champions League classic. It leaves us second in the group, which is fine. And now we've got it all to do in the final 3 games, 2 of which are at home. So you'd like to think we are going to be in pole position to at least get second, if not win the group. So from that point of view, I will say that anything other than getting out of that group is utter failure. That will land at Conte's door, because when that group was announced, everyone was saying, what a good group we've got. Now, without belittling the clubs we've got, there's some decent teams there, but we've missed all the big boys across Europe. We haven't got one of the big clubs across Europe. So for me, I think he's got to get out of that group, or it will be, for me, utter failure. For the last couple of minutes, I just want to talk about this, and I wanted to get your opinions on this. So please, as always, thank you for viewing. Please leave your comments, and please keep it clean. Always remember something I'm learning more and more. Attack the argument, not the person. Seen some really silly, childish things in the last few days. People coming on telling you to support other clubs, that you're not a Spurs fan because of a different view. I don't feel any Spurs fan that does that, for me, is not really a fan. That's an idiot, really, isn't it? So the last thing I wanted to talk about was, does Antonio Conte look bored? Now, I'll tell you where I'm coming from this. A good friend of mine messaged me this morning and he said, I've got a theory. I'm not going to say this is, by the way. He said, I've got a theory. He said, I think Antonio Conte doesn't care if he gets sacked. I think he's waiting for his next opportunity, and he realises that nothing is going to change under these owners at Tottenham Hotspur. And he said, if you look at his body language on the touchline, it seems now completely non-interested. If you look at his animation, it's all gone. In his press conferences, there's no oomph, there's no fight. It's a lot of excuses, a lot of blaming players. It just doesn't feel like he's there at the moment. Now, I don't know what to make of this. Is this just because we're in a bad run? Has he had enough already? Is he realising that these owners won't back him and he's not going to be able to do what he wants to do? Is he waiting for a bigger club to come about? Juventus, Atletico Madrid aren't doing too well. Top clubs always get rid of their managers if they're not doing well. So is he waiting for one of those? I'm just asking a question, by the way. That's not my opinion. I'm not 100% sure. All I know is something doesn't look right at Tottenham. Yes, people will point to the fact that we're third, but something doesn't look right to me. Not just on the pitch, just there's a feeling. It doesn't feel like the players are playing for him. It doesn't feel like there's any oomph from them. They didn't look up for it as they came out the tunnel for the Champions League game. All in all, something's just not right. So tell me, what do you guys make of it? Could you see Conte walking? Is there a point where a bigger club comes in for him and he goes, well, yeah, I've not been backed? Don't get me wrong. For me, if he wasn't backed, which he clearly hasn't been, then you can turn around and say he should have said something. But that's easier said than done, I suppose. And if you're on a 20 million, 15 million pound a year contract, you can just wait and see it out. So all in all, I don't think he was backed. I don't think that excuses some of the football, but I don't think he was backed. The overriding problem for me will always be Daniel Levy and Enoch. Again, lots of fans were waxing lyrical about this window, but when you look at it, the bench is still atrocious. There's no creativity. We look really lackluster, and we've got no ball players. So, tough one. Obviously, we can only properly judge the window at the end of the season, but for me, I'm not seeing any real impact that these players have had, the new players. Tough time to be a Spurs fan, I think. If you want results only, then great. We're third in the league because we've beaten the bottom five or whatever it is. That's great. But again, this season so far, we've failed to beat Frankfurt, Sporting Lisbon, Arsenal, West Ham, Chelsea. And we've only won 1 of 6 away games. 1 of 6 away games. And that was Nottingham Forest, who are bottom of the table. Not boding well. However, can we bounce back? I mean, we keep saying this at the moment. Can we bounce back against Brighton, a very well-organised team, well-drilled? They press relentlessly and they push and they move, and the one-touch passing and the third man running off the ball. They play 3-4-3 how I think we should play 3-4-3. But it's going to be a tough game at Brighton. Not saying we can't get anything, but again, as it stands right now, I will bite your hand off for a point because I don't think we're that good a team. So let me know, what do you think about yesterday's performance? What do you think about, is Conte bored? Is he waiting for something better? Has he been backed? And what can you see happening against Brighton? All of these questions. And please remember, it's just football. Don't get mad. Don't get crazy. Don't start abusing people. It's just football. Much love. I'll be back on a Friday afternoon for a Q&A session at 4 p.m. Other than that, take care. Enjoy the rest of your afternoons, and I'll speak to you very, very soon. Remember, smash the like button and please subscribe if you haven't. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.